Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and I love helping trainers, presenters, and workshop facilitators really take their results to the next level. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about the three major myths of training. The three major myths that really hold trainers and presenters back from really getting grander results, so to speak. And some of the things I'm going to say are, in my mind, bleedingly freaking obvious. And it surprises me that people don't catch it a lot earlier on. And I'm even ashamed that I have to make this video because it's like, come on, folks, get these things right because it's about time. Let's just wake up to these facts, folks. Three myths of training, and let's dive into it. Grab a pen, get read right. Because if you don't know these myths, you're going to really be holding yourself back and holding your audience back from actually accelerating their results and actually achieving any results at all. All right, so the first one is people do not remember something by only hearing it once. What we need to appreciate is that humans are humans, and humans need to hear something multiple times and do something multiple times before them to actually remember it and learn it. And if you are like me, maybe you've attended a workshop, maybe you've been to a seminar, and you've maybe had an experience of doing something once or hearing something once, and then there's been a perception or an assumption that you've learned it. But come on, folks, let's get to the point where we realize just because you say it once, it's not enough for your participants to actually remember or even digest it and ingest the information. And just a random fact here, folks, what you want to be getting into the habit of doing is repeating yourself 3 times, a minimum of 3 times, whenever you're giving instructions or key information. Because here's what happens, folks. Your audience, you have to capture their attention. So what's the thing? You say the thing, and then the audience is like, oh, he said something, or the trainer or the presenter has said something, and they go, oh, I need to pay attention. And then you say it again. They go, oh, I think I heard that time. Then the third time they actually hear it, and they're able to process it. And what we often find is that people do not actually repeat themselves enough, and as a result, you get people in the audience that say, oh, what was that page number again? Or what are we doing right now? And if you have that, it's a key indication that maybe you just need to say the instructions multiple times, because often what we find is that people are off with the fairies or thinking about other things, and they're not always present to what you're doing or what's happening in your workshop, right? So just as a side note, whenever you're giving instructions or key information, say it a minimum of 3 times, right? Now, there is certainly a lot more times that people need to hear things for it to actually go into long-term memory. And that's where the review activities and all the different things come into play to make sure that the information is digested, so to speak. But for now, just a random tip, make sure you say instructions a minimum of 3 times. And later on, when you've got different content and you're layering it in, make sure you've got it in different formats as well. All right, but different topic another day. So now, next myth of training and running workshops. And this one is kind of a bleedingly obvious one, but unfortunately, most trainers and presenters don't really capture that. Now, this one is everybody learns different. Whoa, what an idea! What an idea! Everybody learns different. So the myth is everybody learns the same. Now, everybody learns the same is a ridiculous idea because, as you may know, and as you may agree, and even if you put a comment down below, I'll probably disagree with you, right? Now, as we all know, there's visual learners, auditory learners, kinesthetic learners, and the read-write learners and all that fun stuff, right? Now, what we need to realize is whether you agree with the learning styles or not, I don't really care. I really don't. Because at the end of the day, how you learn is how you learn. But you cannot ever think that in your training workshop, you're going to have every single type of learner being exactly the same. And if you are arrogant enough to think that everybody learns the same way, you may really miss out some people, right? And what that means is that there are people that like to read things. Yes, there are. There are people that like to do discussions. Yes, there are. There are people that like to do role plays and activities. Yes, there are. Now, you don't know who's going to be in the room that leans towards a particular style of learning. But if you assume or if you think everybody learns the same way, you're going to miss people out, right? And that leads on to point number three. Point number three is everybody learns the same way you do. That's a bit of a strange thing to say, but what we know for a fact is when we're designing a workshop or when we're facilitating a workshop, what we often find is that trainers revert back to how they like to learn themselves, right? So if you are a visual person, what we often find is that people that are visual trainers will often revert to making amazing PowerPoints, phenomenal visuals, right? And they have a belief that that's really important and everybody learns the way they do. Yes, to a degree, but guess what? There's other people in your room as well that may not be visuals, right? Now, if you're a person that loves discussion, guess what? Highly likely you're going to be adding in a lot of discussion, right? If you're someone that loves activities, highly likely you're going to throw in a lot of activities because that's how you like to learn. But let's face it, folks, there are not 20 of you in the room. There's not 30 of you in the room. There's not 50 of you in the room. And we need to appreciate that every single learner in your room has different needs, wants, and desires, right? And we need to be delivering in a variety of different ways so that we capture everybody's experience and deliver it in a way that meets their needs, not yours, right? And we need to do it in varied ways as well, because we know not every learner learns the same way, right? So here's the three myths for you. Number one, people listen and hear things instantly. No, they don't. No, they don't. They need to hear things multiple times and do things multiple times, right? Second is everybody learns the same way. Please stop believing that. And third one is everybody learns just like you do. Sorry, folks, it's not the case. And we need to step out of those beliefs or those myths so that we can really create massive results in our training room. How do we do that? Well, we repeat things multiple times. We have things written up in different ways. We use the whiteboard, we use the flip chart, and we have things, we have key messages that are repeated throughout the entire session. We have multiple experiences for people to try the activities, develop the skills, right? Next, we deliver it in multiple different ways because we know that everybody learns different. And last of all, we take ourselves out of the picture and go, it's not how I learn, it's how people in my room are going to learn and learn the best, right? So, folks, hope you got some value from the video. These were the three myths of training and running workshops, right? If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. But, if you're about to say, I don't believe in the learning styles, I'll go, okay, great for you. Hopefully, at the end of the day, you can start to reflect on your own practice and on your own learning style, because guaranteed the way that you learn is not going to be the way that everybody else learns. So whether you believe in the learning style or not, doesn't matter, because guaranteed the way that you learn is probably not how I learn. So what are we saying? Learning styles don't exist or are not true? I'm going to postulate that everybody learns differently and we need to value and honor that. All right. Hopefully you got some value from the video. As always, like, comment, share. Let's get this out there and let's create a brand new paradigm of powerful training where you don't just speak, but you speak to be remembered and speak to create change in your audience. Thanks for watching, team.